So, thank you all for coming. I just wanted to make just a brief thank you for all of you to have supported us over all the years and have made an effort to come back and join us. And we have a lot of wonderful programs that we have scheduled coming up. We look forward to all of you joining us. And I just wanted to say a special thank you for being here tonight. I'm going to pass this on to Christine Francoeur, who's going to moderate the evening, and she's going to take care of everything.
Do my best. This is, it just makes me so happy to see all these eyes and smiling faces. Thank you all for making the decision to come tonight. And I appreciate the effort that it takes to actually come out into the real world. I think we were talking actually on the last call. Were you saying that you were going to come?
Yeah.
Yes, so. I remember. You were like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
And so here we are.
Yeah.
So this is wonderful, and it's so good to see you all. But before we start with introductions and upcoming events, I just really want to acknowledge that we live and gather on the traditional lands of multiple Indigenous people. It's actually a beautiful thing to be able to look around this cabin here and see those images as a reminder. And in the spirit of respect and reciprocity and truth, we honor and acknowledge the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, and the Tsuut'ina and Stoney Nakoda nations. This territory is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3 within the historical Northwest Métis homeland and all the people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. So good to acknowledge that. And a big hello to all of you online. Glad that you've made the decision to be with us too in a way that is meaningful for you, that you could still be here and join our community. It's been a wonderful opportunity for us to actually have these events now in person, but we really do honor the fact that we could deliver them online. It was very important to us that we keep the community thriving that way. So, as Phil mentioned, we are a volunteer organization. So thank you for those who've left donations for us at the door. Many of you probably already know that that's the support that keeps our website going and our poster development and those communications that allow us to bring the events out into the community. So thank you for that.
I can't hear you as well.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
Just move a little closer.
Oh, sure. Okay. You can hear me okay online if you want to give us a thumbs up. I think that might have been before when we had a mute issue. But I think we're good now.
Or they can enter it into the chat.
Yeah.
Let us know if you can hear us.
Yeah, sounds good. So a reminder too, and I think a lot of you, if you've been following us, if you want to be kept in the loop about our upcoming events, we do have a newsletter that is sent out regularly, so you can sign up online and you'll get notification of upcoming events. But a few things to keep an eye out for the next little while, actually right away here, April 6th, it will be the committee of WTM, which is myself, Dr. Phil Bluestein, Dr. Alan Donsky, and Dr. Leslie Elstad. And the four of us are going to come together and share our 80 years combined experience in mindfulness and meditation and our practices. And we thought it would be a really great opportunity for us to come together as a community and really start that conversation again, where we can actually bring our questions, bring discussion, and really make it a two-way communication. So we'll be here to share some of our insights, but we would love to hear from all of you. So if you have some questions and things in your practice that you've been maybe wondering or considering, please bring those to the event on April 6th. So we'll look forward to seeing you then. And actually, one of our teachers for another event that's coming up on April 20th, led by Pam Hauk, is mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. So thank you, Pam, for that.
Pam's here too.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having you. And May 4th, we have Dr. Alan Donsky attending to the silence of the heart. And if any of you have heard Alan speak before, he brings a lot of wonderful language and experiences to his talk, and it's always really entertaining and special. So hopefully you can make it. There will be more events posted for the balance of May and June, but we do take the summer off. So July and August, there won't be any WTM events, but we will be back in the fall. A reminder that any questions that you have for tonight, if we could maybe just hold them until the end. Our guest tonight, Lisa, she will be giving her talk, and then there will be an experience, and at that point she'll be happy to answer any questions that some of you maybe have online or here in the room. So we'll definitely do that. And of course, the reminder that these sessions are really just given for our own experience and learning, and aren't meant to serve as any other form of a forum for discussing personal issues or anything else. That we really just try and keep it to what's being provided. And with that, I am happy to introduce our guest tonight. So Lisa Strogal is my business partner. We work at a company called ShadowLight Global. And I must say, Lisa and I met actually through a divine request of mine. It was a wish that I put out and had hoped for, to meet someone who was doing the wonderful things in the world that she was doing. And unknowingly, a friend of mine introduced me to her and helped that divine request be fulfilled. So when I met Lisa, I was instantly drawn to her light, and you will understand what I mean by that when you actually see her present. But she holds a joy that emanates from her heart in the way that she communicates, in the way she shows up in life. And her experience is, her business experience ties to that uniqueness of her. She is an MCC, which is a Master Certified Coach. So that is a coach that has had over 2,500 hours of experience coaching people. She has years of experience in HR in some of very large oil and gas companies in our downtown. So she has a wonderful business savvy and experience, but she also has this deep passion that we all find a way to align to our purpose and to find our inner joy. And when you meet Lisa, you will see that that is the way she moves through the world, and it is a real gift. So when I met her and we started to unite and talk about our shared purpose, it was chemistry. So I'm excited for all of you to meet her and experience some of the great things that Lisa brings tonight through the crystal bowls, and also through her methodology, which is called Whole Person Intelligence. So enjoy. Welcome, dear Lisa.
Well, thank you.
I don't know if you
Do
want
we
to adjust
have
that. Is that okay?
everyone online on mute? Can you see that that is the case? We're just wanting to ensure that it's on mute, so there's not
Yeah, looks like
reverberation
it.
once
Mute
the
all.
sound begins.
Here we go.
Good, we're good.
There we go. Excellent. Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me, both Phil and Christine. What I understand is in this community, crazy enough, we start with mindfulness and meditation. So the very first thing that I want to do is do a really honestly a short sample in a guided meditation with each of you. And so because this is going to get pretty voluminous pretty soon, I'm going to give instruction as to how this is going to happen. Are we going to bring the computer up? Are we good?
How does it
Okay. So I'll give you instruction, and then we'll have 10 minutes of that experience, and then we'll come out. And then I'll talk a little bit about whole person intelligence, my own journey, perhaps an offering to each of you as to how this will maybe enlighten your life. And then I'll explain a little bit more about the sound bowls and what you might experience in the deeper, more meditative experience. And then we'll obviously have the meditation experience, and then we'll finish up with questions. So that's the timeline for our period together. Okay, so as we start, of course, we want to have experiences in the body. And so, of course, our homing pigeon, per se, in the body is our breath. So as we begin, I'll talk you really quickly into the breath to make sure that we go within. And then how we're going to do this is we're going to start at the heart, and we're going to use a bowl that supports us and really center. So that's how this sound is going to be. Okay? Then we're going to take our energy down all the way through the ground so we feel really connected to our earth. And And so we're staying embodied in the room, and we're going to use a grounding bowl. Okay. Then we're going to come back up, grounding, centering, and then we're going to connect. So imagine us going all the way through the body, connecting, and you're going to hear a third tone. Okay. So again, the order will be centering, grounding, going to come back through the heart, connecting, and then together we're going to imagine ourselves in white light and start to expand out. And so what you'll see in that experience is these three bowls coming together and a new one. Really high, expanding. Okay? So I'm seeing a lot of pluses in the room with smiles, so just wanting to ensure we're all good. But again, I'll just do it one more time. We're going to start with the center, ground, go all the way down, come back to center, connecting, and then expanding. Okay, so inviting you to start dropping within, and perhaps if you feel comfortable to close your eyes, gazing down, just really returning home, internal locus. So I'm going to connect for a minute just with y'all, and immediately as reminding our breath. And so maybe together we'll just inhale for the count of 4 and exhale for the count of 4. So here we go. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, and 4. And exhale 2, 3, 4. Let's do that one more time together. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then same with the exhale. 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so beginning with centering. Breathing into heart center. Noticing that white light within. Feeling the sacred connection with who you are. And finding breath one more time into the heart. Inhaling. And again, exhaling. Taking light down through the body. Noticing you extending into the earth. Returning up to the heart center while remaining connected. Continuing to expand up, up, up. Connecting. Seeing the whole body embodied in love and light, the purity of truth, and finding expansion. ourselves, but with community. So as we're finding this glorious space of love within and around, we return to breath one more time. Inhaling graciousness and the capacity of learning. And exhaling excess residue that's ready to be transferred into new form. And so as we complete, we'll be reminded of our heart center and centering. Of the support we have from our earth and grounding. Expression of compassion in the connection to all that is. And being incredibly grounded within who we are, we connect with all that is and share gratitude for our time together in expansion. Taking one final breath in. And as we exhale, we're reminded of our body more closely, finding feet and ankles and knees, hips and belly. If it's helpful to start moving, I'm noticing I'm rubbing my hands, welcoming movement within, and then finally hearts, and opening eyes and returning to the room. Excellent. Okay, so for those online, just hopefully that came through clearly. Sometimes the audio can be quite robust, and so the speakers might get a little bit jazzy. Just welcoming that in with the experience as well. So how do we welcome all the frequencies that are here? So, as promised, I'm going to talk first about whole person intelligence. And as Christine mentioned, I've got an interesting background of being in that corporate landscape. And what's interesting about my background is, I probably did what most people do. I was super busy, I got a great job, I worked hard, and then I got some degrees, and then I worked hard, and then I got promoted, and then I worked hard, and it was just that cycle of really buying into what success was from a societal perspective. And so, sure enough, I had everything I ever wanted and more, a husband, and a job, and friends, and I was miserable. And so, that whole piece, the story of success, I realized that just wasn't sure. And so, and at the same time, honestly, if you asked me what food I liked, I'm not sure I knew it. I was so externalized around what is important to me and what is meaningful. And so it was at that point where I decided, you know what, this isn't true, and I'm not happy, and so I kind of quit it all. And interestingly enough, I said no to, work, quit that, asked for a separation and ultimately a divorce, sold my car, sold my house, and bought a one-way ticket to Europe. And I really didn't know what was at the end of the trip. What surprised me was I was there. And so what was so beautiful is that I found out who I was. And by doing all of this inner work And every healer that walks into my life and guide, I just said yes to. And what was so fantastic about that journey was I was able to not only remember who I was, but know that that was my purpose, that I needed to support other people in finding out who they were, and then ultimately how do you be that person so that you can live in alignment with that truth. And so as the journey began, of course, if this is my purpose, then you have all of the gifts in order to make that happen. And so I used my brain. So it turns out I became a yoga teacher. I did a couple yoga teacher trainings while I was gone, but I knew that I needed to use this mind and really befriend it in a new way. So by recognizing patterns and systems, and equally on that journey, how overwhelming it is. I don't know where to start. I had no guides. What does this work anyways? And so that's where whole person intelligence came together. And so what whole person intelligence does is really it explains in kind of a tangible human way how to really look in, but then equally how to see what's in the external world, that outside in and inside out, to figure out, am I in alignment? Am I in congruence? Is what's happening in my life truly a reflection of who I am and what I want to be? Or is there a disconnect? And so when we look at the whole person intelligence model, it's really about 5 layers of self. And just as Christine had mentioned, I am intuitive. I got to turn that part of me back on that trip. I had all but lost any feminine aspect of self. But I saw a picture of this whole person intelligence model, and it kind of looked like a star. So it had a tip, and it had 2 arms and 2 legs. And so it kind of started with that spiritual aspect of self. And then it moved into mental, and then emotional, and then physical and social. And so what came through tonight as I was preparing for this little piece was an invitation to again actually return into a quiet state. And I'm going to read to you the definitions that have come through. Feels a little bit mental, but I don't really want you to think with your minds about what I'm saying. Rather, I'm going to offer a question to you. And just see what lights up in the body, or see what passes through the mind, and just notice. Okay? So, closing eyes. We're going to start with spiritual. So the spiritual intelligence is the knowing, the gut feeling, or intuitive part of self that connects us to our inherent wisdom, our sense of truth, and determines how we assign meaning and live in alignment with our unique purpose. And so as you're tapping into that knowing, that purposeful side of you, the piece of you that already knows without question, the question that has come forward for you at this moment is, what part of my truth am I ready to recognize and see now? What part of my truth am I ready to recognize and see now? Okay, so moving to mental. The mental intelligence includes learnings, thoughts, knowledge, and experience. This part of ourselves gathers data, draws conclusions, sees patterns, recognizes beliefs, and of course equally solves problems through logic and reason. And so sometimes as we become witness to our thoughts, this question is coming forward now for us all. What repetitive thoughts may be just blocking me from moving forward now? What repetitive thoughts might just be blocking me from moving forward in my truth now? Again, I'm noticing each time I'm breathing in and exhaling out. So what might you be bringing in to your awareness, and what might you be loosening up a little on and releasing? So moving to emotional side of self is the intelligence, the awareness, compassion, and regulation that allows us to have self-authored expression. So this intelligence, of course, is influenced by our values and those predominant beliefs, and they're experienced through our feelings. And when we do and know our feelings, that affects our decisions and the outcomes we experience. So as we tap into the feeling state, the emotional part of self, what feeling would soften with an act of self-compassion? So what feeling might be in your frequency at this point that's pretty loud? And what compassion would support in the loosening? Inhaling, and again exhaling. The physical intelligence, moving to the physical body. So again, feeling this in your cells, sensing what is alive within you. The physical intelligence is made of conscious and unconscious systems of the body. And of course, we use these to maintain or regain our optimal function. The body is beautifully, naturally intelligent and communicates through our nerves and energetic pathways. And so as we tap into the physical side of self, the question that has been put before us tonight is, what natural rhythm can I rely on in my body that I have been neglecting? What natural rhythm can I rely on in my body that I have been neglecting? Inhaling and exhaling. And the fifth part of self is the social intelligence center. And this, of course, is the relational part of self. And it's the part of us that's responsible for establishing boundaries. And in our world lately, we've had a really interesting relationship in the social realm. The boundaries have been confusing in many regards. So establishing boundaries and also equally understanding how we are always interconnected with all living things. And so as we think about this relating sensor system, what might be a healthy boundary I can put in place now to support me in being more of who I am? So again, what might be a healthy boundary I can put in place to support me in being more of who I am? And again, one more inhale and exhale. Okay. So I'm being called to remind you of the white light. So before we open eyes, let's just quickly do that same connecting to heart center. Traveling down into Mother Earth, noticing sensation and or feeling that's expressing as we're traveling down into Mother Earth. And then coming back up into heart center, moving through that throat. Perhaps our throat needs attention. And then all the way through the eyes. What might we see that we haven't seen before? What might we hear that's ready to be heard? And then finally connecting to all that is, expanding in white light. Okay. So welcoming again to return to the room at this point of reflection. Excellent. Well, I can't wait to tell the debrief to hear what's been happening already in each of you, and seeing and sensing what maybe new information is coming forward. So before we get into the sounds, which of course will continue with that same method, and we'll be tapping into our whole person intelligence, and don't worry, that subconscious carried all those questions, and I'm sure there'll be new information percolating for you. I wanted to express a little bit about the sound bowls themselves. And so a question already came to me about, well, how did they even come to be? And so when I personally started the business a long time ago, ShadowLight, and at that time a website was built, and the sound bowls made them. Like, they were on my website. I didn't even know what they were. But I knew obviously they were going to be a part of the journey. And at one point, a client couldn't figure out how to pay me. And so she ended up gifting me kind of an intro to sound. And I was like, okay, here we go. This was it. And so as I started the multiple sound healer trainings, it was really understanding and learning that we as crystalline bodied structure, so we're made out of crystal, and we equally have 75% of our body made of water. And so we've got crystal, and we've got crystal speaking the exact same language, and we've got water expressing and conducting and expanding it. And so what's happening is that the bowls are working with our body, our molecules, every facet of us is quickly changing. And what's happening is that the bowls are putting us back in tune. And so then the question might be, well, how do we get out of tune? It's kind of like what I was doing, right? I'm like, I don't even know who I am anymore. I've said no to everything about myself, become a completely different human, and really started clenching and holding. And that is the dis-ease in our body. And so when we work with the bowls, what happens is that it's the higher frequency basically wins. And so it allows the energy transfer to come into the body, and that dis-ease starts to loosen, starts to soften, and gets returned to all of creation for further use. And so I wrote this actually down because I thought it was absolutely amazing. So Dr. Candace Pert, she's got a book out, it's called Molecules of Emotion, but this kind of got to it. Your brain is extremely well integrated with the rest of the body at a molecular level. So much so that the term mobile brain is an apt description of the psychosomatic network through which intelligent information travels from one system to another. So every second, a massive information exchange is occurring in your body, and you can almost imagine these as each messenger system is possessing a specific tone, humming, a signature tune, rising and falling, waxing and waning, binding and unbinding. And so the goal here with, of course, mindfulness, and this is what she's saying, is intuition is the art of listening with an inner ear to the rhythms and melodies of our own body music. And so if we could listen to our lungs versus our heart versus the tissue, the fascia, and the nerves, every single molecule would sing a little bit of a different tune. And so what I know from experience is that there's going to be some tones that are going to feel really, really good. And it's going to kind of be a gentle cradling you back into harmonics. And then there might be other bowls that are a little bit cranky with you. So that could be the part of self that's maybe a little bit stretched farther, a little bit more dis-ease in the body. And so just be compassionate with self. So if that starts to happen, get curious about what could potentially be happening in the body. Our body knows what to do. Our body knows how to be in its perfect structured state and to put itself back into harmony. It's just us that kind of gets in the way sometimes. So if we can just cultivate that witness and create distance, you'll be surprised at how much comes through. So usually, this is so funny because usually I'm just such a facilitator, so immediately I wanted to ask questions of you all. So let me just check my notes to see if there's anything else I want to say. Okay, let me talk about the bowls itself. How about that? So the bowls are 99.992 quartz. So they are actually mined from a mine way out in North Carolina. And then the quartz gets sent to the magical place called Salt Lake City, Utah. And that's where Crystal Tones is the alchemist of these bowls. And so they're really pure. And so each bowl has a different expression. And they're called alchemy because within each bowl they look different, obviously you can see. And so they've got different chemicals basically within them. So this one is called Aqua Aura Gold. This one, as an example, if you're familiar with the Sedona area, it's got Mount Shasta. So there's some parts of the Mount Shasta serpentine in here. There's also a part of the red rock in there, and there's also platinum in this one. So some bowls are made with rubies, some bowls are made with diamonds, honestly. This bowl is actually really, really ancient. It's one of the kind of crystals that we found in the earth from oldest. And it is energy. So it's energy. So each one is a little bit different, sounds a little bit different, and obviously they've got a different molecule combination, and so they're working differently with your body. So in the same regard, we know that color is actually just visible sound. And so if I'm playing this blue bowl as an example, it's going to be equally working with color systems that we're aware of, like the chakras. And so the blue will be working at the throat center. But equally, it's related to the element of water. So we're going to see some fluidity and movement. I'm even hearing tears might come through this. But it's a low grounding bowl, if you recall. So it's got that low tone. And it is at the frequency of the 10th chakra, which is about a foot below our feet. And so that's why it was really important to ground into the earth. And so what I thought is I could actually explain to you what Crystal Tones has tapped in. So when they tap into the bowl, and of course all of the wisdom around crystals, they've got a particular definition around what this bowl does. Well, all of them, but I got guided to tell you about this bowl and this bowl. And then what I was going to do as well is talk about how I intuitively, in working with them, have different messages from each of these bowls than what I've heard from Crystal Tones. So I've already talked about 10th chakra specifically, and this is why this is important, because we know thoughts are things, and the more people put the same intention around a structure, then it gets weight and volume in our world. And so this bowl talks about influencing the balance of the analytical mind, so in our case it'd be the mental side, and transmuting blockages that give rise to disharmony. So this would be the thoughts that are lodged for us, and it's even interesting as I'm reading it, of course we had a question around what patterns, what repetitive thoughts are happening that we're ready to release. Tells me that this bowl is helping us right now really break through that. So aqua gold lovingly entrains the auric field for quantum shifting and activating. So what I do know is with clients is that if we really carry an intention while we're working with the bowls, things quickly shift. So as an example, one girlfriend I had been working with for 4 years, she really wanted to get married, find her perfect partner and have a baby, and within months it all kind of happens once we started working with the bowls. And so there's quick shifts that we don't have to get the mental mind engaged on. So when I tap into, I call her Kentucky Blue is the name that she wanted to get named with. So Kentucky Blue, this is what I heard. So it's freedom of choice, autonomy, equally grounding but centering. And if you looked at the bowl real close, it looks like an octopus. There's actually veins in the bottom of this bowl. And so I heard it was the veins of the universe. And so knowing that trees communicate with the veins, there's huge transmission, but it's grounded. So you're able to walk in this world with this knowing. So raining seeds of inspiration, clarifying, purifying, and specifically it's got a squeegee. So there's some funness to Kentucky. And it's clearing away that low visibility. So that's what Kentucky Blue does. This one is called Susie Sunshine. And Susie Sunshine is obviously beautiful yellow. From a chakra perspective, it's right at our solar plexus. So a lot about personal power and clearing the blockages that might be in the way. So this one specifically is the Master Healer Energies of Gold. Work powerfully with the solar plexus. Interesting. Enhancing self-esteem, artistic expression, and prosperity. So of course think about it. How much of our own prosperity or abundance we block because of our limiting beliefs. And so really opening up the channel for abundance, which is incredibly important right now. So the pastel, so there's also platinum in here. So platinum, when you look at platinum, it naturally has a rainbow in it. And so there's a shimmer, but it also stimulates divine feminine, relieves stress, diminishes depression, and it also aligns the intuitive and emotional body. So in our whole person intelligence model, this would be deeply physical, deeply emotional, and deeply spiritual. So very, very much connected. So from an intuitive perspective, what I've heard is in light, we honor all things sound. So if we're all sound, and we're all light, and we honor self, then we can honor all things. And so the sun is a reminder to us all that we have the power to shine through all seasons. We have the power to shine through all seasons. It's an important message. So knowing the truth of the bright light expression of Susie Sunshine will enable clarity of sight in a grounded way while acting in purposeful action. Micro steps. So there's an awareness of being able to action this in concrete, tangible ways while keeping the vision, keeping the purpose, keeping the knowing. Because of course, we know at times being human, it takes a little bit of time sometimes to manifest things. This will give you the strength and connection to who you are to know that it's true. It will surface, and you can trust that it will surface when it's supposed to surface. Okay. Okay, I'll stop talking and we'll get into it. So just a reminder as we go into the meditation, your breath is home. And so you might have already felt some pretty big experiences around seeing things. Potentially I'm hearing smelling things. All things are possible and every experience is going to be unique. So welcoming it all and know that we're here to really ground your experience. All questions will be answered. If it does feel at any point it's like, woof, this is a lot, orient yourself into the room. Reminder of these hands. Interesting. Okay, so we're going to start just like we did last time. Centering, grounding, connecting, expanding, and then we're going to go for 15 minutes. So you don't have to worry about watching the time. You're going to hear a chime and you know we'll be done. Okay? So no worry. And then when the chime is done, you can naturally open your eyes when you feel called. Okay. Okay. So gently closing eyes, and again, if you need to move body to really just feel rested in your home. And again, reminding ourselves of breath. So inhaling and exhaling. And again, inhaling and then exhaling. We begin at center. returning more closely to conscious awareness. An offering came through. A poem. So I am seen. I am loved. I am present for me now and always. I am here and I am present. I am now choosing to forgive myself for all that I forgot about who I am and what I came here to do. I choose kindness. I choose curiosity. I am living love. I am joy. I am happiness. And I am light. I've journeyed far, far places to remember who I am. And I am now free with discovery. I am here. I am now. And I am. One more time in closing, I'll do centering, grounding, connecting, and expanding, but actively as you're bringing consciousness back to the body. So starting with heart center. Moving, traveling through the body, feeling not only feet, but the supports, the deep supports of grounding. Feeling inspiration, the truth of who you are. That felt sense of knowing and that sixth sense of understanding and connecting. Together we expand, we relate, we connect to all that is. Finding breath and movement a little bit. And in gratitude and honoring of our time together, we signal closing with the bells. The orchestra plays on. So as you complete, just wiggling toes and coming back to the room together. You can go deep and far with these. Okay, so we do have a bit of time, and hopefully we can engage some folks online as well. But just this is our chance for debrief, and as Christine mentioned, it's not a time to go deep, deep, deep into the personal essence of you, but at the same time sharing your personal experiences. And so we're not meant to work something here, if that makes sense. Okay, so would anyone love to even share their experience or what came through for them? You made eye contact. Did you want to say anything?
But I just found I was having problems with my ears,
Okay.
a little bit imbalanced, and
Yeah.
it sort of disappeared a little bit.
It disappeared.
Yeah, a little bit.
Excellent.
It feels better.
Okay, well that's excellent. Perfect. Well, thank you for sharing. How about others?
Are we back?
Different places, I think.
I saw the colors, like deep red.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you see, like if you could even describe it even further?
When I get into a meditative zone, I do see an image, and I saw an image right away.
Meaningful to you?
Sorry?
Was it meaningful to you? that image?
Yeah, it just means I'm in the zone.
Oh, beautiful.
It's just like a signal for me.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? How we all have our own signals, and we have to learn that language of our intuition or our connection. So true. That's awesome. How about others? How are you feeling? Are you feeling grounded? Okay, good.
It's interesting, this week my horoscope has said that there would be a block for me and then it would become unblocked. Yesterday it was my sewer, and I'm feeling today it's me. That's experience. Yeah.
Amazing. So for those online, if you can't hear, we've heard balancing of hearing. We saw signals of intuition and imaging, and then literally a block in sewer, and it's now exploded, sounds like. Yeah.
I felt like it's very filling experience, like feeling of goodness. So, yeah.
Well, that sounds beautiful. Probably a reflection of you.
Thanks for saying.
Yes, absolutely. So feeling of goodness. I thought I saw. Did one of you have your hand up? I saw it in my mind's eye. Awesome. No pressure.
I was just gonna say, is anyone noticing sensations in the body? Like, does anyone feel comfortable to share some experience around that, or?
I felt vibrations,
Yeah.
but whenever I go into a deep meditation, I vibrate a lot, like I can just feel my cells or body, yeah.
It was a weird release where I thought I was going to fall forward for a sec, and then just things kind of like relaxed and eased. It was
Excellent.
really weird.
Was it? Do you know at what point it showed up for you?
Time was like irrelevant.
Yes, that's true.
So I don't even know, but I felt like it kind of woke me up at the same time. Like it was really weird, but good.
Good. So perhaps a wake up for you.
Yeah.
That's good. Yes.
I had a similar experience. Mine
Interesting.
was rotational and forward,
Okay.
3 times.
3 times. Same direction?
Yeah.
And how do you feel now?
More grounded. Less tired.
Oh, interesting. So invigorating a little bit. Anything you need to do or just lock into this experience that would help you moving forward? I don't understand. Is there something to remind you of this experience that's important to recognize as you keep moving forward?
I think maybe that was deeper in meditation than I've been in a while. So I think the sound really resonated with me. So I think that's something I will take forward.
That feels really true. That's excellent. That's good. Yeah.
I really resonated with your description of your Susie Sunshine Bowl, and throughout the entire experience for me, it was the colors of yellow, orange, and then I had like a taking flight experience for the whole time. And so, the sun rays coming in, I couldn't tell if I was on the edge of a cloud or the edge of a tulip. It was like, that's how the experience was. It was really beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Very nice.
And interesting how it's all about personal power and creativity and birthing and flight. Beautiful. Did anyone?
Just some general comments, but I guess, Lisa, one question that maybe is on some of our minds is, how do you know where you're going to play and what you offer? And there's a melody happening, but it's not a particular song, but yet it creates its own. So can you talk a little bit about that?
That's why I was really curious about the questions about when that rotation started happening, because it's if I were to listen to my mind about what I was thinking was going to happen tonight, it would be the opposite of what happened. And so I really have to tap into what is in the room and what do people need. And so literally all hear exactly what needs to be played. And so I thought I was going to go this way first tonight, and what actually happened was over here first, and a little bit over here, and then back here. So essentially what that means is that these bowls, so this is at the first chakra, so grounding, even deeper in the 10th chakra, grounding, 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 and this is at the solar plexus. So this is right here. This one is interesting because this is way up here, like way, 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 way up here, and this is your soul's purpose. So this bowl vibrates at your soul's purpose. So this was kind of the pieces that came in through first, but it feels like your moment actually happens over here if I was tapping in. And so we still kept the G's. So if you were on a piano, these are actually tuned to a G. And so this is all about throat chakra and really clearing out, and I even noticed that I was swallowing deep when I was talking about this. And these two, this is at the pelvis that Wendy was referencing, and this was a B as well. This is a B bowl, but this is a Big Brother bowl, and it's all about community. And so finding your place in community, but then equally setting boundaries. And so finding your place in center. These two are also high tone bowls, and so again, they're outside of body. So it's allowing you to connect that spiritual wisdom and knowing that sixth sense into grounding consciousness all the way here. So you're able to walk your truth. So it felt like there was a tapping back in, a locking back into your structure, your physical structure, to be able to walk forward in purposeness. So that was these bowls. And then finally a little selection came over here, and these are more in the F, A, C range. So C, C, and F and A. And so the F is all about the heart chakra. So it's right here. And this bowl is so big and deep, and so it's all about living your heart's purpose, or that emotional sense of self, in, again, a very grounded way. And so this was just a light touch, and this was right at the third eye, so being able to see that knowing, and again, walking it, grounding it. So there was always this connection to being able to walk the purpose, walk who you are. So that theme of whole person intelligence really came through. So I don't know if that answered it, but it's literally you all are communicating with the bowls, and the bowls are responding. And so it's my job to listen to what needs to happen so that we do what we were meant to do together tonight and beyond. Because of course this frequency will resonate well beyond us with such a powerful group, and it will help people that are actually working on similar things as you, because they'll tap into that frequency. So we truly do heal the world when we choose to heal what's within us. And so that's how it happens on the frequency wave.
Just gonna check online here. One thing that is fascinating is, like you said, when there's some resonance that is, and so it felt like at one point, for me in particular, there was a real grinding. Maybe that's not true for everybody else, but for me, it just really seemed to vibrate at an odd pitch. So could you talk a little bit about that?
So it happened here. So these two bowls are actually the same, but they're both C's. Did you hear it? Just there. So it happened there, and then it actually, this bowl started almost like frequenting like a radio. Like, so you know when a radio is just off, and then you hear like a zzz. So what happens is that when there's feedback, so you all are clearing, you're starting to move the energy up. Sometimes it wants to communicate a little bit more with whoever was wanting to communicate with a grounded heart bowl. And so we saw this moment happening here. And so as I just have to listen to figure out when do I need to slow down a little bit or speed up or maybe even ding it in order to shake it out. So sometimes just the action of it's a little bit harder. It's almost like shocking you back into place versus a little bit more of a gentle. And then equally in the communication, we talked about communication and messages. I notice when I move clockwise, it's bringing in a frequency. And when I'm moving counterclockwise, it feels like I'm almost pulling it out. So I'm pulling out that dis-ease in the body, and then the bowls will come up. So sometimes it happens this way, other times this way, but sometimes you'll get that feedback. And then just listening and seeing how long do we have to stay here in order to allow the blockage to go. Yeah, so thanks for that. It's a great question.
And I think that's interesting because for me, when I do meditate, if I'm quite deep, I can actually feel my body moving and trying to realign itself.
Yes.
And a lot of times I'll let that just happen because I feel like the body's clearing. And so interesting to me, as soon as you started playing, I could feel my body rotating one way and then the other way. I had that same feeling as you where I went, but I did allow my body to go forward so that it could wash over my back, and then I came up in a new way. And so it's fascinating when we're able to let go of the mind and allow the body to just respond. Like I could feel my shoulders tipping, I could feel my head opening, just to let my neck release. So it's wonderful when we can actually open up the body to really receive.
You know, it reminds me of when I was doing my yoga teacher training, and this was, remember when I was very disassociated with really who I was. And so I walked into that room and I literally was twisted and I looked like this, and the pictures are that drastic. And so as you work and you release and you allow the communication, you've locked something into your body. And so that's why there's so many modalities that can help us to start moving and being back in flow and getting that rhythm, the singing, the harmonies, to be in tune. Yeah, it's wise to move. And then sometimes it's perfect not. So every message is different. It's just really tapping in and tuning that inner ear.
Did anyone else notice that call to want to move? Yeah.
And walking mindfulness, that's why. Yeah. Oh, and other questions. It's great. Like, is there any questions that are starting to emerge for you? And online too?
There were some really great comments about people's experience and
I cannot see that for sure.
Has anyone here had an experience with the bowls before, or is this anyone's first time? Yeah.
How is it different or the same, or?
I don't really resonate with sound healing.
There we go. That's great. Yeah. So it's great in that we all need to know what works for us, and there's no right or wrong answer. It's the same thing that we talked about with whole person intelligence. It's truly an invitation. So, you know, we get called to what we get called to. So that's great that you know your truth. Amazing. And you had an experience with other bowls. Anything different that you noticed tonight?
It's just my old Tibetan bowl. I usually use for meditation.
That's great though.
What was interesting for me tonight was I really like dancing. And dancing is the only thing I've ever experienced, like a flow state, like a loss of sense of self, and I flow and moving. And I got that tonight. So I can't really explain it, but when I dance and tonight, it's like there is no me and I'm just the music. Like my body becomes the music. And yeah, it's lovely.
Sounds pretty magical. And true for you. That's beautiful. I really resonate with that. I'm a dancer too. How about others?
Phil, do you have anything you'd like to share for your experience?
Just the fact that how it impacted me was that it seemed to be almost a connection with something very primal
Oh.
that resonated within me. And it was sort of something that was beyond my thinking mind. There was a connection, something that was within me that went beyond my sense of self and thinking mind. And I just have that really deep sense of resonance.
Wow. That's curious.
Have you had anything like that before?
Yeah, I've had other experiences that have been very primal, and so it had a bit of that flavor to it. Because I really think that it's you know, what you're asking us here also is to find our truth. But the big problem we have is we have something that really always gets in the way of the truth, and that's our sense of self. So can you talk a bit about how do the bowls or your, what you do allows people to move beyond the sense of self to connect to their truth?
That's a pretty big question, right? I think if we were to look at whole person intelligence, the center of that is our identity. And so we come up with these ideas of who we are, and then we kind of get locked in to that center point. And so what we're really cultivating with mindfulness is that distance and that curiosity to start wondering if any of that is true. And so really allowing us to open that up. And so what I find, and I think that's why I was drawn to the bowls, is that it, as I said, it talks straight. There's not a thought, there's not a belief that is there. It's just speaking. It's helping you resonate and remind you that with that primal sense of actually who you are. And that's an expansive soul that is, who knows what definition you have, but I know it's greater than this physical body for me. And yet we are in a physical body. And so it allows to me to be able to resonate and understand how that soul purpose is able to connect and be in relationship with the cells and that personality that obviously you've been given to resonate with your purpose. And so it just creates distance, I find. We're engaging in a fundamentally different way than what we're traditionally patterned to think through. And so this allows us to be with ourselves. And when we really start paying attention to the deepest frequency of who we are, we kind of know our own tune, and we also know when we're off tune. So the more we notice that song, that uniqueness, the more that we know when we're off tune, we're off pitch, when there's a little bit of a buzz. And so it's just beyond words. It goes to the spaces that words cannot. Is what I find. How did that connect?
It's great, thank you.
There's a question here online. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. Were you exposed to the bowls all together like this, or did you collect these together and create your own?
That's actually a really fun question. So when I did that training and that intro, I was like, oh my gosh, I found my thing, like this is it. And then I found out the price of these. And then I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? So this is one of those messages where you're like, okay, I've got to follow this. This is my truth. I have to step into it. So what's that mean? And so when I say prices, they're made of the gemstones. They're made out of pure quartz. And so you can imagine this as basically a nice ring on your finger or a piece of jewelry. So they've definitely got weight to them in the material world in that way. But essentially, I met my teacher that day, and I knew I was to train with her, and she's actually an award-winning, internationally recognized opera singer. And so she's very, very attuned, obviously, to music, and then equally had a significant experience of loss in her life, and it was the only thing that helped her through her own grief. And so as I called her, I literally said, she had a room, and she showed me her bowls, and I said, it's that one, it's this one, it's this one. Actually, this one is an interesting story. It was this one, but this one scared me. So then I said, no, I can't take that one. And this one. And this one, actually. So I picked all of those, and she's like, are you kidding me? They're all in tune, and they all go in harmony. So she's like, I don't know how you've done that. So obviously I'm tapping into a wisdom of awareness that I've done this before. And so that connects to this bowl. This bowl has Lemurian seed in it. And so it's from that part of our world that used to exist. And so this one woke me up in the middle of the night and started talking to me that night. And I went, oh my gosh, a crystal bowl is talking to me. I must be crazy. But then obviously I got calm with it and recognized this as a gift and how do I leverage it. And so really it was that started it all. And then of course they just want to talk to each other and it expanded from there. So if we got into sound theory, there's a number of different frequencies that each of the bowls are set at. And so this one is 440 hertz, which is the same tuning as modern music. And so they've now proven through science that all frequencies work. So this one is really comfortable. So when you're just getting into sound, this feels comfortable because we're used to that tune in radio and songs, etc. So this set came first and it expanded and then it just kept growing. Did I answer the question? Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
This is really awesome. I've never been exposed to this and it's incredible, but how do I mean, where are you? How do we ever do this again? Like, I don't understand
Yeah,
how
how does
this
it
all
work?
works.
So maybe I'll talk about how I do it in particular, and then how others, like you, might be able to expand. So of course, we have a vision at ShadowLight that this would be a part of a community and a membership, and you could tap into sound bowls every day with eventually. So help us manifest some type of app where you could tap in and really enjoy these frequencies. But how we work at ShadowLight is we use the bowls in combination with a number of tools. And of course, coaching is primary. So coaching is usually a tool that people come to or work with when you want to do something different in your life, you're trying to change. And so we talk about where you're at now, where you want to get to. And then we leverage the bowls, we leverage talking, we leverage maybe yoga movements or slight, but it's a combination of holding a whole bunch of whole person intelligence methodologies. And why that is because we're a system and we need to tap into all of the system elements in order to sustain the change long term. And so that's how we integrate them individually, and then we do group sessions. You can for sure get our contact information and we can do more. Maybe we do more here, I'm not sure. But definitely there are ways. So we'll make sure the contact information is available.
Tonight's session was recorded, so we put all of our meetings, like all of the shared information on our website. So you can go and visit and actually experience tonight's full session again. Anytime you've been called.
Yeah.
So,
But reach out.
yes.
Anybody reach out. If you need to process something or disconnect, please know that we're of course wanting to make sure you feel supported. So you were gonna move to Phil? We are at 2 minutes left, and I
What
know
time is it?
it's
2 minutes.
28 after.
Yeah, wonderful. So I think that's it. Is there any final things you'd like to share before we wrap up tonight?
I'm just hearing the message of, thank you for coming into community to be together, to experience something new, and to also trust that wisdom within to know what's right for you. But equally so, the power of us returning to our home center, there's only one of us, and there's only one moment in time where you're here right now doing the thing you're here to do. And so how do you stay committed to self and true to that so that you're walking forward? Because we need to work together. We are one. We're all connected. And so, just appreciate the time, the invitation, and the celebration to be in community together. So thanks to those online as well. We missed you in person. We'll see.